Yes guys, hello and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be reacting to 10 of the craziest moments during the UFC press conference. Now if you haven't already subscribed guys, I'd really appreciate if you do hit that sub button and do press that post bell notification on so you do get a notification every time I do drop a video. Now without any further ado, let's get into the video. I'm actually excited for this video. Let's see what we got. Conor, Aldo. Oh yeah, he snatched his belt.
Over the years, UFC fans have been treated to several outstanding matchups. Although in truth, the bouts that stick with us tend to be the ones that generated a great deal of hype beforehand.
Jones and DC, man.
Press conferences. Over the years, we have seen some wild press conferences, which in turn have helped to create some of the most anticipated matchups in UFC history. In many ways, they can be every bit as exciting as the fights themselves. So for this video, we've decided to take a look at some of the craziest unexpected moments during a UFC press conference. As always, if you guys enjoy this video, then please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Now without further ado, and ranked in no particular order, let's take a look at 10 of the craziest moments during a UFC press conference. Number 10. Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo. UFC 189. With his sharp tongue and boisterous personality, Dublin's own Conor McGregor has taken part in more than a few memorable press conferences on his way to becoming the UFC's biggest star. The Dublin native definitely knows how to get the masses talking, and he does, to be fair, he does. UFC World Tour press conference back in 2015. This event was held to promote a bout between McGregor and then featherweight title holder Jose Aldo at UFC 189. During the verbal exchange, Jose Aldo boldly declared himself the King of Dublin, which naturally didn't sit too well with McGregor. The Irishman took exception to the comment and responded by walking over to Aldo's table and snagging the featherweight title. As a result, the crowd erupted. UFC President Dana White managed to keep the two from... Man,
Jose Aldo was... he was mentally defeated before the fight, man.
Wait to see the two legends collide, as Aldo was forced to withdraw from the fight due to an injury and would be replaced by Chad Mendes. McGregor and Aldo would eventually collide in December of 2015, with the notorious one managing to dispatch the champion...
Was it 6 seconds, right? Yeah. Oh, 13 seconds. My bad.
Jones versus Daniel Cormier, UFC 178. You would be
had to be there.
Two fighters who dislike each other more than Daniel Cormier and the reigning light heavyweight champion Jon Jones. There have been several...
I wouldn't be surprised if DC and Jon Jones have their own documentary 20 years down the line, maybe.
Incidents in which press conferences and face-offs almost result in a brawl. However, heading into UFC 178, no one could stop Jones and Cormier from getting their hands on one another. This memorable scuffle started when DC shoved Jones while the two men were facing off. The champ then responded by pushing Dave Scholler aside and attacking his rival.
Oh yeah.
Is one of the rare times in which a face-off has actually turned violent. But in the end, Jones was forced to pull out of the event due to injury. Of course, these two would eventually clash for the first time at UFC 182, a fight in which Jones emerged the victor via unanimous decision. Number 8. Conor McGregor.
I know Jon Jones has beaten DC twice. How would a fight in heavyweight would have fared between DC and Jon Jones? That's an interesting question. They fought at light heavyweight twice, right? How would it have fared at heavyweight?
McGregor versus Nate Diaz, UFC 202. When you have two athletes who know how to build a fight, a memorable press conference is to be expected. Heading into their highly anticipated rematch at UFC 202, Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz took part in one of the most bizarre spectacles fight fans have ever seen. McGregor has made somewhat of a habit of arriving late to press conferences, and at UFC 202, this was no exception. The event began with McGregor showing up late and Diaz leaving early out of frustration. However, on his way out, Nate Diaz hurled insults at McGregor and then followed them up with his signature one-finger salute. After trading a few verbal jabs, Diaz eventually responded by throwing a water bottle in McGregor's direction. Naturally, McGregor fired back, which resulted in an all-out water bottle war.
That's all right. Hey, Conor, don't throw those. Conor.
But plastic bottles aside, the fight lived up to the hype, with McGregor
Yep.
winning a very competitive battle via majority decision. Number 7.
Would you like to see the trilogy between Nate and Connor? Let me know down in the comment section below.
Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, UFC 249. Even for those who aren't particularly superstitious, it's hard to argue that a potential bout between Tony Ferguson and UFC lightweight champ Khabib Nurmagomedov isn't cursed. After all,
The fight we never got to see, was it 5 or 6 times?
cancelled an unprecedented 5 times.
5 times,
The fight
yeah.
itself may never happen, the two men have still given us plenty of memorable moments during their press conferences. One such incident occurred heading into their fight at UFC 249. After trading verbal jabs for nearly half an hour, the two men finally came face to face during a routine stare down. Ferguson, who once held the interim 155-pound title, laid his belt at Khabib's feet and demanded that he do the same with his. Instead, Khabib responded by kicking his would-be opponent's belt during the very heated stare down. Of course, Justin Gaethje would end up replacing Khabib Nurmagomedov at UFC 249 and go on to end Ferguson's 12-fight winning streak. Number 6.
Yep. By the way, from that press conference, my favorite moment was, I think Tony Ferguson said he's from Oxnard or something. I don't know where that is in America. And Khabib responded with, "What is this, Oxford?" Oh, that was definitely the funniest moment from that press conference.
Versus Nate Diaz, UFC 196. UFC 196 was initially supposed to feature Conor McGregor attempting to capture his second UFC title by taking on Rafael dos Anjos. However, a broken foot caused Dos Anjos to pull out, which opened
Ooh, it's swollen.
Diaz in what would become one of the promotion's great.
Did he not take this fight on like 12 days notice?
Leading up to the bout, Diaz and McGregor were involved in a stare-down that could only be described as tense. The encounter got really heated when the well-dressed Irishman decided to remove his opponent's fist from his face by slapping it away. The Stockton native didn't take kindly to this gesture, and a brawl nearly erupted. Fortunately, UFC officials and security were able to keep things from getting out of hand. As for the fight itself, Diaz managed to secure the biggest submission win of his career and went seemingly from being a fan favourite to a mainstream star overnight. Number 5. John Jones versus Anthony Johnson, UFC 187. Unlike Daniel Cormier, John Jones and the man he was scheduled to face at UFC 187, Anthony Johnson, were actually on good terms. In fact, the two even worked together to play a prank on Dana White during a promotional face.
Oh, yeah.
As a humorous
They acted like they were gonna fight.
Jones'
Yeah.
conference, Johnson shoved the light heavyweight king, who in turn pretended he was ready to take part in yet another pre-fight brawl.
Look at Dana.
This time,
They've done him good there.
A short attempt by Dana White was all in good fun. In an interesting twist of fate, Jones was suspended due to a hit-and-run incident and was replaced by his rival Daniel Cormier, following which Cormier would end up defeating Johnson to capture Jones's vacated title. Number 4. Conor McGregor versus Eddie Alvarez.
Man, DC, if it wasn't for John Jones, would have been considered the light heavyweight GOAT. Also, maybe in a conversation for a heavyweight GOAT if Stipe Miocic and maybe Cain Velasquez didn't exist. Just one or two person, makes a difference.
UFC 205. At UFC 205, Conor McGregor would finally get his chance to capture a second title when he faced Eddie the Underground King Alvarez. During the press conference, McGregor was...
We are seeing the same faces.
Out of frustration, Alvarez temporarily left the press conference and left his lightweight title sitting at the table. When McGregor finally arrived, he decided to confiscate his opponent's belt, which prompted Alvarez to return. After exchanging some heated words, Alvarez tossed a folded chair in McGregor's direction, which immediately set him off. McGregor then lifted the chair into the air and aimed it straight for Eddie Alvarez. Fortunately though, Dana White managed to intercept the chair and prevent the conference from turning into WrestleMania. While there was plenty of anticipation for the bout, the fight itself was a one-sided affair, with McGregor TKO victory late into the second round.
It very much was, yeah.
The first UFC star to hold titles simultaneously. Number 3. Michael Chiesa versus Kevin Lee, UFC Summer Kickoff Press Conference. If there's
I
one
remember
thing we
this
learned
also.
at the 2017 UFC Summer Kickoff press conference, it's that Michael Chiesa doesn't take kindly to anyone talking about his mother. Both Chiesa and Kevin Lee were in the midst of a heated exchange when the Motown phenom made the mistake of mentioning his opponent's mother.
But I just hope he shows up because I know his mama got tickets, so...
While the comment itself seemed relatively harmless, it clearly didn't sit well with Chiesa. And as a result, he sprang from his seat and immediately began shouting at Kevin Lee.
Don't talk about my mom for one. Don't you ever talk about my mom. Don't you ever talk about my fucking mom.
After which, he then darted across the stage to attack Lee, but was met with a big right hand before UFC officials managed to get between the two. The pair finally got a chance to settle their differences at UFC Fight Night 112, where Lee managed to sink in a rear naked choke and secure a first round submission victory. Number 2.
So that's where Kevin Lee fits into all of this. If you know, you know. Put in the great Uncle Chael.
Yoel Romero versus Israel Adesanya, UFC 248.
Boy, is he.
Unlike many of the incidents featured on our list, the press conference heading into UFC 248 didn't feature a physical altercation or...
Was it a dance-off?
This particular press conference is in fact remembered for the wild dance-off between its headliners, UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya and Yoel Romero. Given that Adesanya is the flashier fighter and roughly 13 years younger than the now 43-year-old opponent, a dance-off would have seemed to favour the champion on paper. For his part, the last stylebender showed some solid dance.
Yeah, Romero done him dirty there, yeah. Romero had to show him levels, yeah.
Aging opponent.
The man's, what was it, 42, 41?
The dance-off wound up being far more entertaining than the fight itself.
Yeah, that's the most boring fight I've ever watched.
Adesanya would retain his title.
No, actually, Rosenstrike and Gain was pretty boring as well.
In a contest that featured little action. Number 1. Tito Ortiz versus Ken Shamrock.
I haven't watched this. It's the first time I'm watching this.
Kingdom Beach bad boy Tito Ortiz were involved in one of the UFC's first great rivalries. Unfortunately, inside the cage, Ken Shamrock was dealt 3 TKO losses to Tito Ortiz, with each being more
3?
devastating than the last. Outside
Oh,
of
wow.
the cage, things didn't go a whole lot better for the world's most dangerous man, as Ortiz always had a knack for getting under Shamrock's skin, which was made all the more obvious during their first press conference at UFC 40, after Shamrock delivered...
That looks like a WWE poster. Backlash.
Ortiz sat in silence before eventually leaning back in his seat and erupting in laughter.
I hope to God you come ready, because if you don't, I'm going to beat you into the living death.
Oh my days. Is that Dana White?
Out of Shamrock, who doubled down on his threat of violence by kicking a nearby chair into the air, which humorously made its way into the arms of Dana White. The incident ultimately set the stage for their first fight in 2002, which Ortiz won with a first round TKO. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, then please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel.
Yes guys, that's going to be the end of the video. I mean, I knew about a lot of these already because I'm a big UFC fan. The last one I had no idea about. But yeah, let me know what you thought of this video in the comment section down below. Make sure to comment, like, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next video. Peace!